He was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. To the outside world, he seemed fine, working a steady job, keeping his head down, blending into the background of everyday life. But inside, he was at war with something invisible, something that no one else could see. His enemy was not outside, it lived in his mind. It was fear. Fear told him he wasn't good enough. Fear whispered that he would fail if he tried. Fear convinced him that rejection was waiting at every door he might dare to knock on. So he stayed quiet, stayed small, and let opportunities pass by. He told himself, it's safer this way. At least I won't get hurt. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He wasn't living, he was only surviving. Every morning, he woke up with heavy thoughts. He thought about the things he wanted to do, speak up in meetings, share his ideas, start a project, or even tell someone how he truly felt. But then fear arrived like a shadow over his shoulder, and the voice inside repeated the same words, don't do it. You'll embarrass yourself. People will laugh. You'll fail. So he obeyed. As days turned into months and months into years, fear became his master. It dictated his choices. It locked the door to his dreams. He watched others succeed, others shine, and he told himself, maybe they're just born different. Maybe I'm not meant for more. And with every excuse, fear grew stronger. But here's the cruel thing about fear, the more you obey it, the more power it gains. The man started saying no to life without realizing it. No to opportunities. No to growth. No to happiness. And each no cut a piece of his spirit away. Still, there was a small voice deep inside him, softer than fear, but stubborn. It said, you're meant for more than this. You can fight back. He tried to ignore it, but it never left him. That quiet voice was hope, waiting for him to finally listen. Then, one day, the breaking point came. He faced a big moment, an opportunity that could change everything. A chance to step forward, to finally prove himself. His heart raced, his hands trembled, and his mind screamed with panic. Fear was louder than ever, warning him to back away. And he did. He let the moment slip through his fingers. Later that night, he sat alone, staring at the ceiling. Regret crushed him. It wasn't the lost opportunity that hurt the most, it was the realization that fear had stolen years of his life. That night, he understood something he had avoided for too long. Fear wasn't just keeping him safe, it was keeping him weak. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered to himself, I can't keep living like this. That was the moment everything changed. Not because fear disappeared, it was still there, but because he finally admitted the truth, the real prison was in his mind. And if the mind could build a prison, then maybe the mind could also build a key. That single thought planted the seed for transformation. The next morning, he woke up with a heavy heart, but also with a decision. He could no longer allow fear to control his life. He didn't know exactly how to fight it, but he knew one thing, he had to start. At first, the battle was small. He began with little challenges, things that seemed insignificant to others but felt enormous to him. He forced himself to speak up once in a meeting, even though his voice shook. He tried to say yes to one new opportunity, even when fear begged him to say no. Each step felt terrifying, but he began to notice something. Fear screamed loudest before he acted, but once he moved, the voice grew weaker. This realization became his weapon. Fear feeds on inaction. But when you move, even trembling, fear loses its grip. He started training his mind like an athlete trains the body. Every morning, he repeated powerful words to himself, I am stronger than my fears. I am capable. I am not weak. At first, they felt like lies. But slowly, they became truth. The more he spoke them, the more he believed them. He learned to breathe through his anxiety, to stay calm when fear rushed in. He learned that fear never truly disappears, but courage is what you build when you act despite fear. The man began taking bigger steps. He applied for opportunities he once thought were out of reach. He started sharing his ideas with confidence. He began to see rejection not as proof of weakness, but as proof that he had the courage to try. Fear was still there, whispering in the background, but it no longer controlled him. His mind had grown stronger. Then came a moment that tested everything he had built. A challenge far greater than the small steps he had taken before. Fear rose again, trying to chain him down, warning him that he would fail, that he would be humiliated. But this time, he didn't shrink back. He looked fear in the eye and said, "You can stay, but you can't stop me." And with that, he acted. His hands still trembled, his heart still pounded, but he stepped forward anyway. And something incredible happened. Not only did he survive the moment, he grew from it. Fear did not vanish, but he had proven to himself that his mind was stronger. From that day, his life changed. Not because challenges disappeared, but because he was no longer afraid to face them. He learned the secret: strength isn't built in comfort, it's built in struggle. And the strongest people are not those without fear, but those who refuse to let fear dictate their future. The man had finally discovered freedom, not the absence of fear, but the power to act in spite of it. And this is the lesson for all of us. Fear will always exist, it's part of being human. But your mind can be trained, your courage can be built, and your spirit can be strengthened. Every time you choose to act instead of hiding, you prove that your mind is stronger than fear. So, the next time fear whispers in your ear, remember his story. Remember that you are not powerless. Take the first step, no matter how small. Say yes when fear tells you to say no. Because the life you dream of is waiting on the other side of fear. And the only question that remains is, will you let fear control you, or will you build your mind stronger than your fears?